So one of the things that we need to do in order to put this engine into that 77 Corvette is we're going to have to rework the wiring harness. So I'm going to go through the steps of reworking the wiring harness. This is the way that the wiring harness came on this engine. We bought this engine online, and this is the way that the wiring harness came on this engine. Now, a lot of this stuff we're not going to need. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to clean this wiring harness up. We're going to get rid of some things. Some of this stuff that we're just not going to need. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to disconnect these coils. We're not going to mess with the fuel injectors. The fuel injectors on this engine are way down here in the bottom. So we're going to disconnect these coils. So the first thing I did was I removed this. Now, this wiring harness clips down into this engine cover, and so we've removed all of that. Now to do this, what we want to do is pull up on this little red tab right here. Sometimes you have to get a screwdriver to do it, which I'm going to have to do. So we're going to pull up on this little red tab right here. Once we've pulled up on this, we can push in on this part right here, and it will release the wire. So on this side, I've removed a couple of things. I've removed a ground strap, and I have removed the wire that goes in here to the cam position sensor. I am going to go through, we're going to disconnect this accelerator. Now this goes to a drive-by-wire system, so we have to have that when we go back together. We're going to eliminate some things, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this wiring harness completely off of this engine, and I'm going to set it up on my table. We have printed off some pinout diagrams for the wiring that goes to the computer. So we're going to go ahead and disconnect this computer. We're going to do that by pulling these red tabs back. There's 3 of them here. We'll pull them back, push down on this right here, and that will slip that back. And we'll pull those 3 things back, and then these will clip all the way back. And then we'll work these connectors loose from this computer. There it goes. You can see that these are color coded. We've got a blue one. Get that pushed all the way back. We've got a black one, and we've got a gray one. So they're color coded to this computer. Now, we're going to have to reflash this computer in order to get it to not try and go through the vehicle anti-theft system, because the vehicle anti-theft system will shut the fuel injectors down on this engine. So we have to remove that stuff from this computer for this engine to run in our new car. So we're going to go ahead and pull this wiring harness all completely out of here. Luckily, some of the stuff is going to stay with the engine. We're going to get this wiring harness out of here. I'm going to lay it out on the table, and then we'll go through some of that. So we're going to go through, and we're going to mark all of these connectors where they go. So I will mark this for coil number 2, coil number 4, 6, and 8. I'll mark both sides. I will mark each of these connectors where they go. I'll mark for our accelerator or our throttle pedal. I'm going to mark all of these connectors so that when I go through and start removing wires, I know right where everything needs to go. So this is the wiring harness that's been removed from that engine. And there is quite a bit of stuff on here that we don't need to have. So, for example, all of this stuff goes up to the lighting in the front of the car. This stuff also goes up into some of the front controls and components. And so we are going to eliminate some of this stuff. I'm going to go through and I'm going to mark some of this stuff that I know I need to keep. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to start removing some of the wires from this harness and clean it up a little bit.